love wiffle ball. No other way to explain it. Just something about the game. The feel of the grass. Smacking that ball all over the field. Making plays. Diving head first, whatever it takes to get the job done. That's what wiffle ball means to me. Striking out grown men. Watching their knees buckle on a called third strike. Sit out, bud. And then, of course, the home runs. The base hits. The big home runs at the big moments. That's a whiff of greatness. Join us all season long for the Joe Aguirre story, a CMG podcast.
Welcome to Ivy League Murders. On this podcast, we focus on cases affiliated with the Ivy League, exploring the darker side of higher education. What happens when genius becomes evil? My name is Sarah Alcorn. I'm a Harvard graduate, and I've been a private investigator since 1999. Join me and longtime crime diva Laura McDonald for Ivy League Murders.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Throwing Jabs. I'm Big Jace, joined by Jared Jones. No Joe Aguirre today. He was busy. But today is a big day in the fight world, UFC 259. We'll get to that. But first, Jared, we must recap last week's fights. Starting off, Ciryl Gane defeats Rozenstruik via unanimous decision. Jared, both you and Joe were very adamant that Gane would dominate this fight, as he did. I mean, but the thing here, my takeaway here is, I mean, you're in the land of the big boys. You need to finish him, and if Gane doesn't have that knockout power to finish a Rozenstruik, which I think Rozenstruik's really good, but if he doesn't have that, I don't know if he can compete with the top of the game. You know. So, what did you think of this fight, Jared?
I think the opposite. I think this guy could compete with anybody in that. Granted, Rozenstruik didn't really push the way you want, but this Gane kid did everything I said he was going to do, except for knock him out. I would have liked to see him push more, but I'm a fan, and as if I'm his trainer, if I'm in his corner, if I'm his family. I said before this fight, he limits windows. There's not a lot of opportunities for him to get clipped, for him to get knocked out, for him even to get touched. And I think that's what we saw in this fight, is that this guy, if he fights every fight like that, he's going to be really hard to beat. This was a good artistic showing. He hit, but he didn't get hit. He did what he was supposed to do. When you're that big, if he did what I wanted him to do, what you wanted him to do, what everybody wanted him to do, he'd have left more windows open for himself to get knocked out. And sooner or later, you turn into Alexander Overeem. So I like this performance. That's what I want. That's what I want from my fighters. If I'm in their corner and want them to win, as a fan, I wanted to see him push more.
Okay. I mean, we already know that Miocic and Ngannou 2 is coming up. Where does Gane fit in this heavyweight division? And, I mean, you mentioned Overeem. They just recently, a couple days, less than a week ago, released Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem from the UFC. So where does Gane fit in the heavyweight picture in your eyes?
Oh, right at the top. Right at the top. I'd like to see him fight for the strap.
All right. So should he just wait? The heavyweight division's so cluttered as is. What is his next fight going to be? Do you think his next fight, is he going to wait and get a title opportunity, or Do you have someone else in mind for the fight next?
I think if Lewis after that big knockout is taking a step back, that's a great fight. I like Ngannou. If it's not me, but I would give this kid the title fight and maybe expect him to win it. I think he can beat Stipe. Oh yeah. I think this kid is the future of the heavyweight division. Okay. Remember that I said that. Ciryl Gane. This will be one of those guys who wins a few heavyweight fights. You don't see a lot of guys in any weight class go and win 3-4 fights. You start making lists of champions that won 4 fights. It's a much shorter list than total champions. People have trouble staying at the top for any significant amount of time, and I think he'll be one of those champions at heavyweight. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Where guys get, and why? Why is it especially difficult at heavyweight?
Because of the knockout power.
Okay, and what does Ciryl Gane do significantly different than the other heavyweights in the game? Close the windows.
Yep.
Yeah, baby. My man.
All right. Well, we will keep this. We'll bookmark this, and let's see what happens. But now let's. We got a big octagon show ahead of us, but let's step into the boxing ring as Canelo comes out. Did what he had to do, did what he needed to do. Knockout, 3rd round against Yildirim. Jared, what'd you think of the fight?
Well, I had said that if you want to bet first 3 rounds knockout.
Yeah, you did.
And if you want to hedge your bet first 3 rounds and then decision, because once it makes it out of 3, it'll turn into a sparring session. Joe said 4th round or 5th round, I think. I told him he could have everything from between 3 and decision. So I took another one down with Joe. I'm on a bit of a roll here. And this was a joke, man. This was never going to be close. This is a colossal waste of time. Yes. Yup, at the top of the game and everyone's time. That's the thing, is the Paul brothers aren't wasting any, but Nate Robinson, who cares? I'm a little more, we should let more people fight. I'm down with that. But this was, waste of time. I don't,
All right, so
Avni icing hot, Shaq going Yildirim.
All right, so Jared, who does Canelo need to fight next? I know there's a lot of people. The after this fight, it looks like Billy Joe Saunders, but who does he need to? Who is the big fight for Canelo right now?
The big.
And fight. I know where you're coming. I think I know where you're going.
Donald Trump.
Oh,
yeah, he's got to fight Trump. Not because I want to see Trump get beat up, because ratings. So Trump, and then second, I would have both Paul brothers at the same time. That's interesting. Let's see what happens. And Clarissa Shields, big win for Clarissa Shields last night. I'm sure she'd give him a go. And Canelo isn't fighting anybody in his stratosphere, so if we're going to waste time, let's at least make it entertaining. So I got Clarissa Shields, both Paul brothers.
Where does McGregor fit in there? Where does Conor fit in there?
Oh, God, he doesn't.
Oh, but doesn't he?
He's the 5th behind the kangaroo. 5th behind the kangaroo.
Oh, it's a mess. I really do hope we do get to see a Billy Joe Saunders, though. That would be a great fight. Canelo. Especially he did look good.
Oh, Beterbiev. Yeah, you want to come up for me? There you go, Tony. Huh? You want to show me you're the best fighter in the world? Come back up to light heavy and fight Beterbiev. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's a beast. Charlo, also Andrade, he's also a sneaky guy there. I like Andrade a lot. I would like to see him take down one of these take on one of these top guys in the.
He was one of the younger guys in the gym when I was coming up, Andre, and he's been a force for a long time, boy. Sure.
Yeah. It's he's a stud in the making, and I would like to see him take on one of these top guys. But let's go on to the who you got, and we got a big fight card this week for UFC. 3 title fights. But Jared, what is your fantasy fight card? Give me 3 fights that need to happen on your fantasy fight card. Whatever you want. Your
my favorite all-action fighter ever in the world, Justin Gaethje. He ended up on here twice. I'd like to see Covington's talked about coming up. Had trouble making weight. I'd like to see that fight. Gaethje, Covington.
Oh, I like that.
I also like Masvidal Gaethje. As in all action, no nonsense, scrap.
That's a fight.
So I'll take Gaethje in both of those. And then the third one we touched on already. Ciryl Gane to beat Stipe.
Oh my goodness. For real?
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, this guy's
That's
the
your
future.
main
He's
event?
gonna win. He's gonna win 3 or 4 fights at heavyweight with the strap. Yeah. Oh, Shevchenko Nunes 3, I like.
Yeah. And Ngannou Jones. That's an interesting one.
Adesanya Jones is good.
But I got 3 for you. I made them all title fights in quotations because we got 3 title fights. Starting off with the title of the hardest hitter in MMA, Rumble versus Ngannou at heavyweight. Tell me that would not be a fun fight. Tell me that wouldn't be
Why should Anthony Johnson still be relevant, though, is the question. This is crazy.
That's for the hardest hitter, the biggest knockout artist belt.
All right. Conor McGregor versus Tatiana Suarez.
No. But
all right.
I think I'm going with Tony here. Shevchenko Nunes 3 for I don't know. Just make it like all the belts, every single one of the belts.
You guys, whoever wins can just have
all of them. Let's go. And then I'm gonna go with my guy Isaiah Groves. Izzy versus Jones. That's just the fight.
That's a great fight.
That's going to be a great fight. I mean, assuming Israel Adesanya handles his business tonight, that's got to be the fight, right?
Oh, yeah.
Be the fight, and then Jones is going to I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that can happen if Adesanya wins. But who knows? Blachowicz can put all this hype and all this stuff to bed. But we will see. And before we get into that, though, here's a little...
we don't have a...
What?
We don't have a trivia this week.
No.
Somebody's waiting for the game to start. Maybe we'll have Tony ask us a few questions if he's up for it. Go ahead, run that promo.
Yeah, so we'll be right back to preview the fight.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little flow to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. But speaking of those Lakers, hold on, stun. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that. There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
All right, that's Keys to the City. Make sure you check them out. Also on the part of the CMG podcast family, clovercrestmedia.com. But now, let's get in to the fights tonight. The big UFC pay-per-view, UFC 259. This card is stacked beyond belief. But we're just going to focus on the title fights. Starting off with the first one up, It's going to be Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. Jared, what's going to happen?
Oh,
when
boring girls make my
close?
Petr Yan. That's the guy I like, though, man. As much as I think this one's tough because I that's not often that I really like both guys in the fight. You asked me Fighter of the Year earlier. List of 3 guys for Fighter of the Year. These are 2 of the guys I gave you. Whoever wins this fight is lined up for 2 or 3 in a row here that are going to be, you win 2 or 3 fights, you're right on that list anyways. And I like Petr Yan.
You like Yan?
Man, in a knockdown, drag out, all action, worthy of a strap type of fight. Yeah, I like Yan to be a little bit better in more aspects of the game. I think Sterling's going to be a slightly better striker, and Yan will be better everywhere else.
You really?
Yes.
That's interesting. I think Aljo. I think
that's how you reacted when I said Charles Oliveira was good. By the way,
no, you're right. You're right with that. But no, I think. Have you seen what the Funk Masters like? He's flexed his ground game in the past, So I like his submission game. I think he might be able to. If there is going to be a finish. I like Aljo to find the submission somehow, some way, because he's pesky like that when it comes to the ground. And but I do think if it goes to decision, I do think Yan will end up taking it, champion's advantage. But I do think this is going to be a grueling fight. It's going to be a great fight, and this is going to be a fight we're going to be talking about by the end of the night, saying, run it again, and we'll be fine with it.
And at the end of the year, we'll look back as one of the fights that's going to shape that division for sure.
Yeah, I could see this fight going a trilogy. Like, these 2 guys are good enough. They're the top of this division right now. Like, I could see this being a war in the next year and a half.
See that comment? Go ahead, Tony. Tony with the hot takes.
Ooh, he's only got okay.
So I'm just saying more ways to win for Yan. I'm picking Yan because I believe while Sterling might be more dynamic, a striker, Yan I think has and submission. But Yan just has more ways to win, more ways to get it done. I think he could knock out, submit, or win by decision. Whereas if I'm Sterling, submission, maybe knockout, that's just there's less. He could grapple, he could go to the ground. Yan has more tools in the toolbox that is disposal.
Okay, I get that. This is going to be a great fight regardless, and this is only the first fight we're talking about on this pay-per-view. But let's move on to the women's featherweight fight as Amanda Nunes takes on Megan Anderson. Jared, what does Megan have to do to get to steal a victory here?
Can we talk about the other guy on the card here? Who's the other guy on the card that said that had the podcast and said the thing? Oh, are you hip to this?
What? No.
What do you think Megan Anderson has to do to steal one here?
What do I think?
Yeah, your own question.
Obviously, knock her. Like, she has to put her to sleep. If you saw Megan Anderson fight in Invicta, she was pretty dominant. She was able to use her range and strike with them. If she can use that length she has and keep Amanda at kind of away and maybe set up like I think of like Holly Holm against Ronda Rousey. If she can set up some strikes and then end it with a head kick, I think she might be able to put Amanda's lights out. But I just don't see it's gonna that happening.
No.
Good. She's gonna get in, put Megan Anderson to sleep, and it's going to be a quick one.
Answer is she can't. She doesn't. There isn't. So what I was referring to is Casey Kenny. Casey Kenny, who's also fighting on that card, was on a podcast with Tim Welsh, and Tim Welsh asked him if he would smash Megan Anderson. To which he said, probably not, man. She's not too, well, I mean, if it came down to it and it was like 5 a.m. she's a 5 a.m.er, 4 a.m.er, just two of us hanging out like, F it, let's do it. He later, Megan Anderson said, I guess MMA is a line of work where you can publicly talk about whether you'd have sex with a coworker in an utterly degrading way and face zero consequences. It's disgusting behavior, and unfortunately, it's unfortunate he'll be fighting on my card. He then apologized and said it was, but, follow-up question for you, Jace. Gotcha. Would you smash Megan Anderson?
What?
No, I'm
falling
dude.
into it.
Anyways, I just thought that was newsworthy, and no, totally disrespectful to Megan Anderson, and not something he should have said. Now, while we appreciate your apology, you should have known. Did you see Jace's face, everybody, when I asked him that question? You should have known, Kenny, when you got asked that question, that it wasn't something you were supposed to answer, at least publicly. You know, you talk about locker room talk, well, let's keep it for the locker room, you know. Yeah, so good thought not answering that question. I don't think Megan Anderson, with all due respect, has any chance to win this fight at all. I think the odds it's like 1,600 or something. That's fair. $16 should win you $1 if you bet it on Amanda. This is, yeah. It's not. I don't think it's going to be close, and I don't think there'll be a lot of opportunities for Anderson to do anything, let alone win.
I'm just going to be wild, and I'll go with the upset pick because I'll look like a genius if it happens. So, and I'm fine with looking like a dumbass if it doesn't. So
you really think she can win, though? And how's she going to win?
Utilizing her range and catching Amanda coming in. That's the only way. And
that's exactly it's just what my boy Phil said.
Oh yeah, knee to the head, or just a head kick, like keeping her at range, setting up a head kick. I think it is possible. It's MMA. Anything's possible. Do I see it happening? Slim chance, but I'm gonna go with it just because I want it to happen.
Well, go put $20 on it. It'll win you $320.
I'm in. I like money, so let's go. But
yeah.
Now we got to move on to the main event of the evening. But we got a special video here as Tony's going to give us his tale of the tape.
All right, Saturday night, Blachowicz versus Adesanya for the light heavyweight championship of the world. Jan Blachowicz, 38 years old, 6'2" with a 78-inch reach. He's 27-8 with 8 knockouts and 9 submissions. He's from Poland, began training in martial arts at age 9, initially in judo, and eventually attained a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu under Joe Moreira. Jan debuted in MMA in 2007 in the Polish Fighting League KSW, losing his first fight by decision, and in his second appearance defeated 3 opponents in one night, 1 decision and 2 KOs. He became the KSW light heavyweight champion with a record of 17-3 and was offered a contract in the UFC in 2014. His career in the UFC was a little spotty at first, losing decisions to Jimmy Manuwa, Corey Anderson, Alexander Gustafsson, and Patrick Cummins, but was able to go on a tear, avenging the losses to Anderson and Manuwa, while also beating Devin Clark, Jared Cannonier, Nikita Krylov, Luke Rockhold, and Jakar Souza, and eventually beating Dominic Reyes via second-round knockout in September to become the UFC light heavyweight champion. After John Jones left the division, the only blemish on that run was a KO defeat to Thiago Santos back in 2017. A tough as nails and hard-hitting Muay Thai striker, Blachowicz has been gradually developing and getting better since 2014, both in terms of his boxing, particularly his jabs, feints, and counters, and his grappling skills as attested to by his 9 submissions. Jan typically doesn't like to overextend himself, usually staying in the pocket and waiting for the right opportunity to land with his vaunted Polish power, and destroys opponents' sides with his kicks. Ciryl Adesanya, 31 years old, 6'4", with an 80-inch reach, 20-0 with 15 knockouts and 5 submissions. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, where he took up Taekwondo at an early age. His parents relocated to New Zealand, where Izzy has lived since he was 10 years old. After high school, he enrolled in college to become a computer designer, but at 18 decided to take up kickboxing, where he amassed an amateur record of 32-0. By age 21, he joined City Kickboxing, where he still remains alongside Dan Hooker, Kai Kara France, and Alexander Volkanovski. From 2010 to 2017, he fought as both a boxer and a kickboxer as a cruiserweight and middleweight, respectively. He retired from kickboxing in 2017 after getting knocked out by Alex Pereira via left hook in the 3rd round. He went 5-1 as a boxer and 75-5 as a kickboxer, which combined with his MMA record puts him at 106. With 45 knockouts as a professional fighter. He made his UFC debut in 2017 with a 2nd-round KO and fought Marvin Vettori in his 2nd fight, winning by a hard-fought split decision. Later that year, he defeated Derek Brunson, then won a unanimous decision over Anderson Silva. In 2019, he had the fight of the year against Kelvin Gastelum in another back-and-forth fight for the interim middleweight championship. Then he unified the belt with a 2nd-round KO of Robert Whittaker. Since then, he's defeated Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa. The last style bender has tremendous agility and reflexes. He uses a wide range of feints to set traps for his opponents, often nailing them with counters from angles they were not expecting. He uses every bit of his 6'4" frame to maintain distance and keep his opponents at range where they can be hit, but they can't land their best shots. He's also an expert at shortening his strikes mid-swing if he can tell that the other fighter's movement has altered the range. Curiously, very few of his opponents have even attempted to challenge his grappling, with most preferring to stand and trade with a seasoned boxer/kickboxer who typically holds a significant height and reach advantage. Will Adesanya be able to become only the 4th 2-division champion in UFC history? We'll find out Saturday night.
Good. Will Adesanya get that? Will he beat 2 belts?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like Adesanya. And well done there, Tony.
Yeah,
Man.
that was awesome.
That's good. You know why Joe goes there for his facts. His picks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I didn't like about the Curtis Blades angle he took. Like, now he gave you a loser. Don't pin him. Don't hold his feet to the flame when he gave you a loser. Yeah, well done, Tony. Well done. And I like Adesanya for a lot of different reasons. When you talk about the different ways to win, I mean, I feel like Jan has to be somebody totally different than he is to win this fight. Just like Tony said, he prefers to kind of sit in the pocket and wait for his opportunities to counterpunch. He's the better striker in the pocket, in the moment, while they're trading. That's not going to be true here. That's literally how he wins fights, and he's getting in there with somebody. You're going to sit in the pocket with this guy, you get knocked out. You're going to get hit a lot hard.
Yeah, I mean,
I like Adesanya.
I see Adesanya just piecing up Jan. I don't think Jan's gonna be. Jan might get a couple good, solid licks in. Adesanya is gonna understand what it's like to be at light heavyweight. But I do think eventually it's gonna show that Adesanya is the superior striker. He's gonna outclass him, and then Jan's gonna look for a half-assed type takedown, and that's where Adesanya is gonna put him to bed. 4th, I like what Phil Benito said here. 4th round, I like that. I think Adesanya is just going to outclass him on the feet. Jan's going to go for a takedown, and then it's going to be over.
I think if Blachowicz is going to win, it's going to look a lot like Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. You know, where he gets caught over and over and over with these beautiful, crispy, technical shots, and he's just the bigger guy, so he takes them all and lays on him and comes in and wades through it until he finally gets on top of him and manages to pull something off. But I mean, if I had to build a game plan.
I agree with Tony, though, too. Blachowicz, if he takes him to the floor, uses that size, like smothers him. I mean, has a Khabib,
which changes his game plan.
Yeah, but also I feel like Adesanya is sneaky enough. He might be able to throw in like something off his back, but because we haven't. That's a whole side of his game we haven't necessarily seen from Adesanya. So I think he might have something stored up his sleeve for when shit does hit the fan that way. But
wouldn't surprise me.
We will see. We will see tonight because I'm excited. Tonight is a fun night for fights. I mean, and not just the title fights. Dominic Cruz is fighting. It's a great card. So don't miss it. UFC pay-per-view, UFC 259. But we're going to end the show like we always do. And Jared, hit me with that flurry, brother.
Who would have thought that Stuart Smalley had all the answers we needed to be happy and successful in life? Remember Stuart Smalley? He was a Saturday Night Live character. If you don't remember, look up Stuart Smalley, pretend it isn't a joke. That guy had all the answers. In Africa, July of 1989, a young nurse gave birth to her first of 5 children. After having her 5th child, she became determined to seek out a better life and somehow managed to pack up this large family and move from Africa to New Zealand. At the time, the black population of New Zealand was about 1.7%. Her oldest boy was among the smallest children in school, one of the only blacks, and had 4 siblings he felt like he couldn't protect from the onslaught of racism and degradation. He said he didn't even realize he was black until he got there, but it suddenly defined him. He once compared himself to a rat in the school, standing against walls, scurrying around edges of rooms, staying close to doors, hoping not to be noticed, and constantly planning escapes. During his freshman year of high school, he was beaten and tormented so badly that one day he found himself at his house, bleeding and crying, staring at himself in the mirror. And then, all of a sudden, he started saying nice things about the person he saw. I am good enough. I am smart enough. People like me. For over a decade and a half, every single day from that one to this one, he's continued that ritual of positive self-talk and affirmations in the mirror every single day. But on that first day, he went from his mirror to a Muay Thai gym where he learned how to protect himself and stand up for himself without becoming the bully. And what he became instead is one of the most highly decorated mixed martial artists in history and the current UFC middleweight champion of the world. Tonight at UFC 259, Ciryl Adesanya will look to become a double champion when he faces Jan Blachowicz for the UFC light heavyweight belt to add to his collection. And even if he doesn't maintain the center of the octagon for the entirety of the fight, he's come a long way from scurrying around the edges of rooms. And if you ask me, he's good enough. He's smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like him. Look up Stuart Smalley. Pretend it isn't a joke. That guy had all the answers. Thanks.
Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
Can you believe it?
It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years.
Fires. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. It's over. The Red Sox have won the world championship.
Tune in to the newest show presented by Clovercrest Media. It's Obie's Backstop Podcast. Catch it twice a week, every Red Sox series finale on your favorite podcast platform.
For all you Red Sox fans, make sure you check out OV's Backstop podcast. Then that's going to do it for Throwing Jabs this week. Thank you, Jared, for joining me. We missed you, Joe. Everyone, thank you for watching and listening. I hope you enjoy the fights because, boy, oh boy, am I excited for tonight's pay-per-view. It's going to be great. But for myself and Jared, thank you guys all for listening and watching. And thank you, Tony, for that excellent breakdown of the main event. Thank you very much for that. We will catch you next week for more Throwing Jabs. See you then.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event.